What's up guys, CV here, and you clicked on this video and I'm sure you did it and you were possibly upset at the title of the video. And before you click away, let me say that I'm not here to ruffle feathers. I'm here to create and possibly put a new concept into your guys' mind. This is for newer people. Remember, I'm pretty new. I'm a Cat 3. I'm moving into a Cat 2 here. As a rider, I've only been riding. This is my fifth year riding a bicycle, like for serious. And the reason I'm making this video is because I'm starting to think about getting a coach. A good friend of mine, who I trust very, very much, offered to set me up some plans, and I might start with a coach. But I wanted to, as I'm creating this idea of getting a coach myself and thinking about what that means as far as my cycling, I wanted to tell you guys why you don't need a coach yet. And this is for all my new people, and my channel is dedicated to new people. So if you guys are Cat 2s, Cat 3s, you know, pretty serious guys, 5, 6, 10 years into cycling, this is not for you. But maybe you guys can agree or disagree with me that if you're just starting out, there's so much development that your body has to go through before you need a coach that you could just be throwing money away. So that's the concept I'm presenting, okay? This is just a thought, and I'm not coming out saying this is fact or I'm 100% right. And when I say coach, let me specify that I mean internet coach. I mean someone that's gonna set up a zone-based riding program based on your functional threshold power, not a in-person coach who's going to be next to you on a bike, like pushing you up a hill, like motivating you and stuff like that. Like that, to me, like a personal trainer style coach, like a personal coach who's gonna ride with you, that you could benefit from day one. Like you need to find that actually, even if it's just a riding partner or a friend or something, like you can consider that a coach. That is something you should do right away. But the whole zone thing, the internet-based coaching that's becoming so prevalent now, if you're a new rider, I think there's some basic mechanical stuff that you need to build first before you set up these zones. And let me tell you this idea I have, okay? And I've discussed this with other very experienced riders, and they agree with me on this. So I wanted to share with you guys my thoughts, and maybe this helps, maybe this doesn't, but maybe it just opens up a thought in your mind. So, and of course, we're watching here, guys, a Cat 2-3 Crit. This is Avondale 2. And I'll break down the sprint when we get to it, but basically I'm just kind of wheel surfing here. Our team's gonna try to keep it together for a sprint. We got Johnny Corcoran in here, AZ's top sprinter, and he's on our team, so we're trying to keep it together for him, and I'm just trying to wheel surf at this moment. Okay, so the idea I wanna give you guys, right, and why you possibly don't need a coach, if you're new, there are layers of pain that you don't know you can get to yet. Okay. Now, if that's not you, if you know you can get into the deepest, darkest dungeons, then you could benefit from a coach. Okay, just let me preface it right away. But for those people out there that are pretty new, Cat 5s, Cat 4s, even Cat 3s, because I race with Cat 3s, and I know guys that have a lot more fitness than me, but I beat them because I'm able to push myself into a harder, deeper place. So if you're new out there, you need to discover what you can do. Obviously, you start riding your bike, it probably take a year or so to kind of develop some muscles and get some fitness and stuff. And I'm gonna compare this to bodybuilding slightly. I had a thought, I was getting ready for work, I was in the shower and I was thinking about bodybuilding versus cycling, and why bodybuilders can become these big epic things besides the steroids, but they can put on muscle, and most average people can put on muscle and kind of show growth, right, at a pretty reasonable rate. And the difference between bodybuilding and cycling, and why, you know, some cyclists plateau so early, is that in bodybuilding, it's a very definite point at which you reach failure during your set. So if you're doing sets, say bench presses, and you have a spotter with you, you can go to failure, and it's very obvious where failure is, right? When you're a bodybuilder, you literally cannot push the weight up anymore. Your spotter has to help you push that last rep. That's failure. On a bicycle, it is so hard to find failure. And where you think failure is, where it really, really hurts, because you're breathing so hard and your legs feel so bad, there's actually a whole nother 5 or 6 reps in there if we're going to compare that bodybuilding analogy. You have to discover that, okay? If you haven't unlocked that yet, then when you get with your internet coach and you give him an FTP, or he just randomly, which I've seen before, takes an FTP out of your Training Peaks or your Strava based on your last 6 months of riding, right? Which is terrible because you didn't actually go out and try to do a 20-minute effort. And he just grabs one out of there. Do not let your coach do that, by the way. If you have an internet coach and he's doing that, it's incorrect. But say he does say, okay, I need you to go do a 20-minute effort. If you don't understand how to ride at 90, 80% even of your actual functional threshold power, if you don't even understand how to do that, then the numbers you're gonna give him are gonna be false. They're gonna be incorrect information. Then he's gonna build this plan for you, which could be 4 to 6 week plan based around that FTP, and some lazier coaches will build longer off of an FTP. You're training in zones that aren't accurate, right? So you're just kind of, back to the bodybuilder analogy, you're never increasing, your coach is going to want to increase the load, right? And he's going to want to keep overloading you to a point, then he'll have you recover. Same within bodybuilding. But if you've given him the wrong FTP, you're not actually increasing your load over the top. You're not going over the top of what you could have been doing, right? This is just conceptual ideas. So if you've kind of cheated the system, you're going to be pushing, go back to the bodybuilder analogy again, you're going to be pushing less weight than you actually could push. Okay? That's, as a whole, why I titled the video, Why You Don't Need a Coach Yet. Now, if you can be honest with yourself and say, okay, I know that I've found that deep, dark dungeon. And if you don't know, if the analogy dungeon doesn't make sense to you, then you haven't found it yet. Because there's an area you can push, I promise you, that is beyond what you think is humanly capable, beyond what you think you can do. It's there. Every one of you listening has it. And there's different depths of dungeon. You can go deeper and deeper, and the best guys in the world can go almost to the point of complete blackout exhaustion, and Jens Voigt, I'm going to use him as an example. That man, when I had a chance to conversate with him a few years ago, off camera, he talked about being able to push himself to a point where other people wouldn't want to be, and he could just sit in it and stay in it. And the pros can do that. You hear people talk about this guy can run at 90% of his actual FTP for an hour, or 95%. That's amazing. That's something that a lot of us will never be able to do. So be honest with yourself before you spend money on a coach, and then hold your coach to a high standard as well. Do not let him take a 20-minute power effort from a group ride you did, 3-4 months ago, and then start building a plan around that. Understand that if you are starting with a coach, you need to create a 20-minute effort that is extremely deep as you can go. You need to be fresh, semi-fresh for that effort. You need to kind of, I don't want to say taper, but you need to take a day of rest. You shouldn't be doing that effort after a week of hard riding or whatever. So that's for my new riders. I wanted to say that because I see a lot of people throwing money at internet coaching right now, and there's a lot of benefit to be had from it. I myself am starting to think that I'm going to have someone set up some plans, some rides throughout the week for me, and approach training with a little more sophistication, because I'm at a point now where I feel I'm kind of plateauing with what I can do on my own, and I want to learn. I want to further my education into how to get stronger, how to get faster. And there's great resources for it out there. There's great coaches out there. I just don't want people that don't have just the basic concept down to jump into that, because I've seen it before, guys. People do it, and then they literally waste years of their lives riding around at power numbers that aren't making them the gains they need. Sure, they're going to see little increases, right? But it's not what it would be if there was an honest FTP there. So find somebody, here's my advice, if you're new, if you're just starting cycling, if you're Cat 4, Cat 5, find someone local on your group ride that is strong, or that you know, start riding with them. Buddy up, find a training partner who will push you, who forces you into this really uncomfortable area, and you'll grow from that, right? You'll grow from that more than sitting in this zone for this long and this little structured plan. So you will grow from being uncomfortable, I promise you. And then once you know where uncomfortable is, and you know you can find that area, okay, then grab a coach and get those internet coaches, have them build you zones based around your, you know, your data. Last piece of advice, if this is a big plan for you and you're just starting out, put a power meter on your bike right now, start logging away all your data, whether you have a coach or not, because it will help when it comes time. He can look at your stuff and build a plan based around it. So there's great resources out there. I've been liking the Trainer Road podcast / YouTube channel. I forget the coach's name on there, but he is super smart, super intelligent guy. And you know, I'm sure they have a really good program that you can jump on for not too much money. I haven't looked into it, but Trainer Road, and then of course there's a bunch of local coaches in all the areas, I'm sure. But that's my advice for new people, is spend some time without a coach first, unless he's there in person pushing you. All right, 2 laps to go here, guys. It's getting hot and heavy. What you see on the screen here is the big guy in front of me was the guy who threw me the bird a couple races ago. This is Avondale 2. This is actually a race that happened a little while ago. I'm finally getting it up here. And we have Johnny in this race. Johnny's on my wheel right now. Before you guys ask, the reason I don't lead Johnny out is A, he doesn't need to lead out, and B, we were trying to go 1-2. We have a bunch of guys in this race. We would like to take 2 steps on the podium if we could. So we're being a little greedy. I'm sitting on the big guy's wheel. He's been kind of the sprinter to watch here. So I have a pretty good position here. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Yeah, I'm gonna try to break this down a little bit for you guys. I might go slow-mo, I might not here. Let's see. So last lap. So all I'm trying to do right here, guys, and I'm gonna keep breaking down sprints for you. Got more sprint videos coming, because the more we talk about what to do in the last couple corners, the better we're gonna get at it, right? So I again make a few mistakes here. If you just watched my VOS Cat 3 3rd place, this is a very similar thing. And that's what I was saying in that Cat 3 video, that the VOS video, is like, what happens here is very similar. So, oh no, this isn't last lap. That was second, sorry, that was second to last lap. Last lap's coming up here, guys. So this is a very similar thing that happens here. I, again, make just a slight error in judgment. I don't hold on to Johnny's wheel, and then I take the last corner. This is last lap. Yeah, I take the last corner just a little bit slow. I leave a guy underneath me. I end up going wide, and I let a gap open to Johnny and the big guy here. Right now, guys, Johnny and I are talking about it, what we want to do here. And I was like, Johnny, you got this? He's like, yeah. So I let Johnny back in here on big guy's wheel. But it's just a quick little couple just judgment things. And I've been bad about it all season, but I'm learning, I'm gaining experience. That's one thing that you cannot do in a group ride or with a coach on a training program. So right there, I should have stayed on Johnny's wheel. Instead, there was a little crash to my right. People went off the road. I checked up, lost Johnny's wheel. I should have went harder into this corner, and then I should have carried my speed around the outside a little better here. Look at this gap. So about 20 feet, we start the sprint. Johnny gets cut off. Dude doesn't hold his line, comes back around, and I hold about the same 20 feet I had in the corner. And that's all it took. So that 20 feet I lost in the corner, that was it. Anyway, guys, hope you liked the video. Make sure to subscribe. Again, I'm not trying to be controversial, just wanted to cause a conversation. Make sure to subscribe. All links below. Thank you.